Hello everyone! Welcome to another stream. I'm Sorskoot, and today we are going to work on our little town builder game in Wonderland Engine again. We started that with actually it started as a project, and yesterday during lunch we the music is a bit too loud in my ear. There we go. So yesterday we worked during my lunch break on the game. Today I was planning to do another lunch stream, but I got into a flow working, and I flew away past lunch. And since it's summer vacation here, so people are free from school and stuff, so it's completely weird. Hey Ness TCG, welcome. How are you doing? So yeah, let's go into the game and have a little look at where we ended yesterday and where we're going to continue today. So yesterday we ended up with this mess. Well, mess. It's kind of a generator, and there are some little issues, like you can see through. We changed the background color to the lowest color of the hexagon, so when you look through it, you do not really notice there's a gap here because it's the same color. But sometimes if there's something behind, yeah, you will see issues. And there are situations where you can see the water through the, oh, here we go. So you can see the water tiles through the, yeah. So that's not perfect. And actually, I might even change the water at some point, because now the water is a tile. Let's switch over to the editor for a second. These are the 3 tiles that are in the game right now, and I'm only using these 2. But this is the water tile, and the water is the lowest point of the game, of the editor. No, the world, the lowest point of the world. And technically I can make this just one big plane. We don't have to add all these vertices. No, it's not transparent. If there was something there, you're not seeing the back side of these tiles. You're actually seeing the side of the tiles. So you're just looking at the side. What I was thinking of doing is, there is a second variation of this tile. Did I add it to the set already? Hexgrass bottom. I think this is what. This is it. Oh, it doesn't want to load that. Interesting. Let me quickly check the original. Oh no, I was looking in the Kenny sets, but this is not a Kenny set. This is a Kai set. It's the medieval hexagon set. Go from here. I thought these would just open. Grass bottom, this one. I think we viewed them yesterday. Yeah. So this is the bottom one, and if there's a difference in height, I can just add one. Huh? So yeah. So we might just add these to the bottom for now. I have been thinking of some other things that are some issues with that. Let's call it an engine. It's not a real engine, but with the generation at the moment. And it is, if you look in the browser, when I select something, I cast a ray, and in the main scene there's one big round plane. These circles are from the physics component that is set to plane, and I just cast a ray, and wherever that ray casts, I calculate what hexagon I hit from there. That was the easiest way to do when the world was flat. But now, when I cast a ray on the water, it's okay. But when things go up, it starts to get more off. And when you look at an angle, it's way off. But I'm pointing at the bottom here. So right now I'm selecting the bottom of a tile. And I actually would like to select just whatever tile I touch. I need to select. And the UI is messed up. But yeah, that's also something I need to think of how to do. So what I want to do today is just add a bit more to the world, make the world a bit more interesting. And trying to figure out how we can make this infinite. Because now it's not infinite, it just ends. And I was thinking of creating chunks and go from there. Yeah. A custom ray cast to the projection of the mouse. Yeah, I was thinking of that. And something like that might work. But I don't think it's accurate enough. Now I did something similar with a normal voxel engine. And that was easy. Well, relatively easy. To just calculate, because they're all the same size, you can step through it in bigger steps and just calculate a ray that way and just see whatever you hit. But yeah, since this is technically a flat world with different heights, there won't be any digging. Well, maybe, but I don't think there will be digging into stuff. At least not in this simple version. So yeah, I've not figured out how to do the ray casting yet. And there are like 7,000 hexagons rendered right now. So yeah, I cannot check them all manually if my ray hit one. Yeah, I don't know. But what I wanted to do today is modifying the placement of the castle a bit. Since I want this to be the center of the world, well, just one thing on the ray casting. So yes, there are 7,000 right now, but I don't have chunks or anything yet. What I can do is cast a ray, and only check everything that's in this chunk. I can make the chunk smaller. So what it does now is create 50 circles. But I can't say, well, say we want to make chunks of 5 circles. So now it's 5. And there will be issues when you cast a ray from here. So technically I'm on the chunk next to it. There are empty tiles on the sides. So technically when I point here, I'm pointing at the one behind. But that might be something that we can work around. Just first figure out like almost like a partition tree or something. But just first check the chunk where we're in, and then we check. Well, we technically could check all the tiles that are in this chunk. But it's very fast in creating this world. And no, you saw it wait to render, but that's not waiting for the world to calculate. There's actually a delay before it creates the world of 1 second. And I just added that for now to make sure the tile set is loaded. It doesn't really have to wait on that specifically. But since there probably will be a button before you start the game, or a menu or something, I just added the delay. Oh, I just added the delay for now. So back to that little tower. We're just going to fix that first. What I was thinking is, yes, I clone all the tiles at runtime. It's just my own spawn thing, but that's technically just doing an object.clone. And I think it's set, so the zoom is set to 100 now, I think. The zoom is set to 100, yeah. And I think I think it was 35, the original value. I don't want to zoom too much, so this might be, well, maybe it should be a little bit further, but this would be the range I think you would play the game in, and then you can move around. Or maybe a little bit more. Well, let's try 45. Yeah. So this will be, I think this will be the most zoomed out game mode, and it is fun that you can zoom in on different parts of the, oh, you zoom always in on the center. That's funny. Yeah, the chunks have to be just big enough to fit on the screen on this angle. Oh, I chose that value because of the menu. This is an issue with the UI library that's not optimized for this orthographic view. We need to fix the holes. But what I want to do is to start today is to fix this castle. Wait, that starts. And I was thinking of just placing that at a certain height, and then based on the distance from that height, we would change the influence of the tiles around it. So there will always be some ground around the castle as your start location. Now I think right now that castle starts at 0. The castle is hard coded. It's just, I don't even know which one of it is. This one. What's interesting is that first tile that's below it. See, there is a tile below it. That first tile behaves different. So we have that first tile. Yes, the center tile. So then we expand and we add the layers and then we render them. Now, something I was thinking of is just keeping track of the distance we are from the main castle. And then use that. Also, I want to link tiles. A tile has 6 links, 6 neighbors. And I think if when I create a tile, I think it looks at the neighbors already. Well, actually, the function adds neighbors right now. It goes through the possible targets and adds tiles. If there's an empty neighbor, it adds a tile. And that's just based on positions right now. There is just a function that it's actually only returns directions. It's so long ago that I wrote this. No idea. Well, doesn't matter. When we add neighbors to a tile, we should just tell the first tile what its neighbor is. So when we add the new tile, we say to the first tile, this is your neighbor. Maybe I think we should use the same way. So the grid. This is just a map of tiles, and we can just we could just give the tile something like we can give it an array, but I was thinking of giving it a map of string and hexagon tiles. Another achievement because I used map. Lol. Or we can just use an array and then go from there. Do I need to have the coordinates of the tile? No, that's not what I want to say. Do I need to get a tile based on its coordinates or the direction. I don't know. But we don't need it right now. Let's think about that later. I need to place that castle higher up. And so the center is there when I create the hexagon tile. When it expands, it adds a tile and it sets its value, its elevation. It sets its elevation to this value. Now the elevation needs to change. And we can add an elevation to the start tile. Do we want it to start on a hill, or do we want to start on, or maybe we should, but then I was thinking of using the map, but if we use the map, we can, there is a chance we end up in the water. So maybe we should not do that based on a map, but just give it a hard-coded value for now. This will always be of type grass, and the elevation will be 0.5. So now, when we check again, it should be higher up. Is it 0.5? I don't know. Do we multiply the elevation already? Water level. No, the elevation should be multiplied when we draw the tile. I don't think it's going up. Why is that? Well, the castle is not going up. Of course, the castle is not going up, but the tile is also at the bottom. And that's not this tile. This tile is only the selection highlight. Then it just adds the tiles. And then it gets all tiles. And if it's of type grass, it uses the elevation. I'm going to hide that castle for a second. Why is that tile at the bottom? Do we have errors? No. Let's set a breakpoint. Let's debug this. Just the first moment, the first tile it draws should be the center one. So it should be an easy easy debug. If I place a breakpoint right here and I refresh, we should get the first tile should break. This is tile, well, the first tile, and the elevation is 0. Now it's the elevation 1. Why is that? So it goes in, has the tiles. No, this adds tiles. Is it modifying it here? New tiles is empty, but this tiles is... And at this point, tiles. We have that one tile. Elevation is still 1. Return new tiles. It created new tiles. And the first one has now has an elevation of... Oh, these are the new tiles, right? The tiles outside of the first one. So now there are 6 tiles in the layer. No, 5. Elevation is 0. Why? Wait, what does add tile do? It gets a key. And it sets it to the tiles. Center has an elevation of 1. A layer is an array where center is the first element. Okay. Wait, it overrides layer. This code is not correct. So what this does... Now, I was already thinking of doing this different. It's funny that it's just adding neighbors, but I just want to create a grid. But I was now thinking of adding hexagonal shaped chunks. But it takes what's coming in, tiles, it loops to the tiles, each tile. It creates new tiles. And push those. Oh, but it also adds to the grid. Oh, wait, no, so this should be correct. But it does, it's going in. We start with an array of 1. Then we go in, and it returns that array of 1. It doesn't do anything with this tile. Tile.2d. No, it should not change this tile. It gets the neighbors of a tile. Based on these coordinates, then it gets... This doesn't change anything about the first one. Why does it change this the first tile? It's even a constant. I find this so very weird. Or I'm completely missing something. Well, welcome to the life of a developer. You want to do something simple and then you spend 2 hours fixing some weird issue. And then the most complex stuff you do in only a few minutes. Hey, David. Yes. That's why I'm not so good at it anymore. Well, it's an interesting thing you say that, because we can ask the AI. If we just select this line, in this line the first tile is created and the elevation is set to 1. Somehow this elevation is reset to 0 somewhere. No, well, that's the same. Can you figure out why? Mm-hmm. Not so, yeah. Does it have context of other components codebase? You mean Copilot? Copilot has knowledge of this codebase. Although in this case it's only checking this file. But you can change context, you can add files, other files to do. You can even tell it to do other crazy things. I rarely use that. Something I do use is Not even in this file yet. Huh. Oh, it is here. My Copilot instructions. This is a complete description of how you should write Wonderland code. With TypeScript instructions, Wonderland instructions, things I like to have incorrect examples. So we do not do it like this, we do it like this. These types of constructions, everything is in here. And by adding this, I mean, I just added the documentation of how properties should be declared. And if I do a review, now it's not the best, but I can say, well, we don't need it. This. Can you review this code? So now it uses that reference to review the code. So it's checking, yes, I'm using the right decorators, potential issues, event handlers are arrow functions, which is good. However, they're not explicitly bound in the constructor. No, we don't bind them in the constructor, we bind them here. Anyway, it does take the things I like in the code. And the code it gives is conform what I like it to be. And it's not added to this project yet, but in other projects I also have this file, but I have another file on top of it with a description of that project. So for example, when I was working on Rise of the Blobs, I had an extra file in there with description of Rise of the Blobs, describing the architecture of the project, how singletons should be handled, everything that was in that game was described to the AI, and then it would just, if you would let it handle some code, refactor some code, it would just do it the right way. Otherwise, you keep it. And I think the new pull request Copilot stuff also looks at this file. But still. This is only rendering the tile. If the current tile is empty, it skips it, because those are the edges. We need to change this at some point anyway, because it's the world will be endless, so technically there won't be any empty tiles. So the first version I made of this game, and it's technically still in here. Let's set it back to 5. So I was thinking of making it like a roguelike type game. So you can select something and then you can place tiles as a test. There, water. I'm not sure what C is. Oh, C is that road tile. You cannot rotate it or whatever, but it was just the idea of placing tiles. And the idea was, in that first one, that you get a card or something, and then you need to place that tile. And that's still in here. We pass this to here. It loops over each of them. Goes to tile. Let's set a breakpoint at the first time where we hit this line. I wonder if it's still correct in the grid or if it's already changed. So the grid is basically the world. So there's one tile in here and it should have an elevation of 1. So at this point the elevation is already reset. And the type is 4. I think there are actually 4 types. Five types. Castle is a tile type. Castle is a tile type. Streamer brain. So you're talking, you're coding, you're thinking, and then you already forget what you're doing. Right. We have here empty, water, or default. Okay, that's both. No, that doesn't say why it's empty. So somewhere between right now, is it in the grid? Elevation is 0. So even I don't get it. So right now the center has an elevation of 1. It's added to the grid, and right now it has an elevation of 0. Cool. So add tile resets the elevation. And I think I know why. I don't. It just doesn't add the tile because it's already there. Let's see you vibe code your way out of those issues. Ha! Now it's over here. All the way up in the air. Cool. There we go. So there will be different steps eventually, but... So now let's add 0.5 again. So it's in the middle somewhere. Maybe just slightly below the middle. That's the one. Now, technically, what I want to do is remove these 2 types of tiles. Because basically, if you look at the tiles here, there's water and grass. I'm not sure if coast has something. Oh, show the. Oh, that's the map. Ooh. See, this is what I was thinking, and this is already one step further. And there's also rivers, but rivers are really tiny, right? Rivers are on a tile. And do these have waterfalls and such stuff too? Let's see, is there an overview? Are these... It's hard to tell. Are these just straight? Or are these going up or down? Or if we have a river, would it just be every time there's a tile that goes slightly below, it just dips up and down? Because what I was thinking is using a waveform collapse type thing and just say, okay, there is this is water. So next to water, there has to be a shore. And based on what type of tiles the neighbors are, we need to have one of these shores in a certain rotation. And technically the same goes for the castle. So we only have water and grass tiles. But a tile has other properties that can be anything. For example, a castle. Or castle is true, or something. Or maybe just a tag. Maybe tags are enough. And that defines that there is a castle on that tile. And if you want to place a building, because that's what we eventually want to do, we have all these buildings. And these buildings are in the default free version. Interesting. What is it building? Would be funny to just use these steps. Anyway, so we need to have a water well to provide your people with water. And then you need to have housing. So you need to build houses. Then want churches to stay happy. You want to have a mill to get the grain. And I'm not sure what this is. Some a wood thing. So you need to have your people get wood and put it in this thing, and then it can make iron from rocks, maybe, I don't know. And that will basically be the whole game. But then you can place a church, and you have the castle. The plan is for the players to place the buildings. Yes, you start with the castle, that's it. And there's only one castle. So let's see if I can... I think it's on itch. So I use this spec. Oh, I did not explain it. So I use this pack and only the free version for now, because I want to open source the code and everything. But then in the extra version there are more buildings and some more stuff. So maybe at some point, if we work on this game long enough, we can add these two. We can add seasons, which will be funny. But basically I want to generate a world like this. And I think with a waveform collapse type thing, we should be able to add all of this. And I just want this to be an example of how you can build a game. So yeah, we have the trees. You need to... Well, you need to have people in your city that are going to get trees. Then, I don't know. I have no idea how that should be built. These little people... pawns, I can model myself or just create a stick with something on it for the start. And then there's all these little nature stuff thingies. Tristan John, welcome. So yeah, these decorations will be... I don't know yet. A lot of hard-coded rules, yes. There will be a lot of hard-coded rules, but that's basically how the waveform collapse algorithm works, and that is great for these types of situations, because we can just say, well, technically this tile can be anything, but we want it to be a tree tile. Okay, so we need to reserve room for trees. And then we can assign it a value based on, I don't know, something. Or we can create a couple of variations and we say, well, we pick a random variation. Oh, but if we have that variation, then we need to have that one next to it. And maybe we can add cliffs next to the water. If the height difference is too big, we can add cliffs to the water or maybe to the land as well. Well, technically that is a possibility. Or we just have to limit the height difference to a certain value. Yeah, we can do that. That's also a possibility. Anyway, I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to approach this. I don't want to prepare these streams too much. I just want to think out loud on the streams in hopes people might learn something from my thoughts and stupidity sometimes. So we have this value hard-coded. If we keep it at the center for now, and we can add some properties to the expand function and say we add a distance from center. So every time we expand, we add a distance from the center. I have no idea how we're going to add chunks and stuff based on that. Or so basically this we can just loop over this set of tiles multiple times. So we can do a loop, flatten around castle, right? And we can do a loop that says add shores. Or we can just do waveform collapse. Weighted finite state machine. Nee. A wave function collapse. And then we go over all the tiles in this chunk and make them work together. Maybe look one over the border. And those will be those hard-coded rules. So we can just combine the different things and then take the rules for the collapsing into account. Yeah, and we can do that multiple times. There's also something I was thinking of. I use a noise map, a noise function, to, where is it here? Oh, I thought I was using Perlin noise, but it's using simplex noise. Interesting. What would change? A whole new world. Let's make this 50. I'm just curious what would happen. I thought we used Perlin noise. We need to increase the zoom. For now. To set it back to 100 so we can... Would this work? FBM? What's FBM? I don't know what FBM is. We can layer this. I did like the simplex noise better. Fractal Brownian motion noise. I don't think I have that in my noise library. But would Voronoi be nice enough for the landscape? I have been thinking of using Voronoi in another generator. I'm working on a complete dungeon generator system. And that will be something that can be used to generate rooms, for example. Oh, nice. And I was thinking of using a variation of Voronoi to expand the rooms to fit the layout, and then give different rooms different weights. So you basically place all the rooms, you just place all the rooms on well, basically it's already a tile grid, but the exact size is not really set yet, and they need to fit a square. And then by giving the rooms weight and have them expand or contract if you want to have hallways or something, give them certain rules, then you can just iterate a couple of times and let them just fill out the room. Kind of like a Voronoi system. For now we're just going with the with this system and set the height scale to 4. So it's not too rough for now. Now we don't have the issue where we can see through. And I'm just going with this for now. Then we're going to do this flatten around the castle loop. And technically, if we would have the neighbors of the tiles, we can just say, okay, give me the neighbors of the center and give me those neighbors and give me those neighbors, and just create a recursive function that goes into a certain distance and smooth things out around the castle. I think we should do that, and so we need the neighbors. Let's make a function for this. This dot do we pass all tiles or no tiles? We can just grab this. Yeah, let's do it like this. Let's create this function. Let's do a private method. Drop this one in there. Okay. No, that's not true. We need to have the castle tile. So we do this dot, was it grid? Yeah. And do we do get tile 0.0.0? Yes, we called it castle tile. Damn it, what's the short key to? If not castle return, we do have a castle. What is this? Neighbor object destroy. No. No. Sometimes it comes with nice code, but it isn't. But I want to add a note here. We should look up the castle by tag property. We don't have this implemented, but it would be better. And I think we can just add different maps, just lookup tables, to just quickly say, give me all tiles with tag that, or I don't know. So yeah, we have the tile. Now I think we should look over its neighbors. So for const, now this code doesn't exist yet. Neighbor. So now we get the neighbor, but this is only a coordinate. We get the tile. We need to check if we have visited the tiles. That might be a tricky one. We get the tile. If there is a tile, there should be a tile. But let's be safe. Let's just do this. We don't, and this is bullshit. So if we have a tile, we say tile dot elevation. So we start with this. I think it can be a const distance from castle is 0. I'm trying to think ahead because I think this function should be recursive because I want to make it dynamic. So say I want to have this smooth over 5 tiles. So we basically get a is in its own. Yes. I can do a lerp. So we have the tile elevation. And we have the castle tile dot elevation. And if we want to make this into 5 steps, we can say distance from castle divided by 5. Would that work? Why isn't it want to do lerp? I added a spell checker, but now it's, I think it should just, lerp is a valid word. So if the distance to the castle is, so if the distance to the castle is 1, it's 1/5. So this needs to be the other way around. Exactly, lerp is a great word. Same as particles. It's also a nice word. If you don't know what it means, if you don't know anything about code, game development, 3D, then particles could be something really dirty. Would you like to see my particles? So now it's ruined. Ruined. So do you wanna come over tonight and lerp my particles? Damn, YouTube doesn't have clips, right? Damn. I can't work like this. But as long as the distance is less than 5, I'm really thinking of how we best make this recursive a couple of times. So we need to have this, and then we need to call something. So if there's a tile, I'm just going to add a private flatten function, and I don't know what yet. So we need to call this dot flatten tile. No, it's flatten neighbors, actually. Right? Flatten neighbors. And we flatten the neighbors of this tile, where we also pass the distance from the castle and the visited tiles. As a new set? No. So we come, and I think this, no, well, yeah, this goes in here. Yay, recursive. So this is the root tile. This is for visited tile set string. That could work. This could not work. So the root tile is this one. Oh wait, then it doesn't work. We need to have the original elevation. Yeah, we need to pass the castle elevation too. Start elevation as a number. So we do this dot flatten neighbors castle elevation. This is a new set. Is that a new set? I don't know if it has to be a set. Maybe a const. I think it can be a const. Right. We need to have a way of reading the key from a tile. So right now, it doesn't store the key. It doesn't have the key. It doesn't know the key. Because the grid is what makes the key. Well, the key is very simple. If we create a hexagon, we can just create the key from there. This is private. Yeah, we can just do this. It doesn't check if it's unique, but we can just say private key is string. We say this dot key is that. That should be a dot. Thank you. And then we do a public get key string return this key. So now we have a read-only property that is set when it's created. And we can add that key. Is key the right word for tile, or is it an ID? Do you think a hexagon tile should have a key or an ID? Okay. ID it is. And then it goes into flatten neighbors, but we added one property. It's the start elevation, castle elevation, distal from castle, and the visited tiles. Start elevation is not used, but that's because we take we lerp between the start elevation and the elevation of the current tile based on this value. Now, if we come here and we say, well, if the tile is in the visit, the tiles, otherwise we add it, right? What properties are we missing? Oh, renamed the thing. Start elevation. No, this should be start elevation. We're just going to pass start elevation along. Also, if distance from castle is bigger than 5, then we return. It just goes through the tiles. It does not go any further if we reach one we have visited, or when the distance is bigger than 5. I think it might work. Did it? I don't know. This is the one, but is this... I don't know. The thing is, I think we're using the same seed every time. Wait, it does seem to... I don't know. Let's make it extreme. Extreme. Let's set the castle back to 1 at the top of the hill. So it doesn't do any flattening. No, this should not be like this. It should be the other way around. Because this one is already in the list. So if we grab a neighbor, if that tile is visited, the neighbor is visited, we skip it. Otherwise, we add it to the list. Yeah, if we check it here and we add the root tile here, we pass it in, we check, yeah, the root tile is in the list because we just added it. And now we have some recursive errors. Okay. Well, if we just do this. Oh, and the distance from the castle doesn't increase. So if we go 1 in, we do distance from castle plus 1. That's probably the reason why it breaks. Yes. That's not correct. We need to use the same distance from the castle for all tiles. Still not correct. Where the little dot is, that's the center one. So this is the center one. Oh, wait a second. I wonder what the neighbors are of this tile. Because when I look at this one, this highlighted one and this highlighted one are neighbors, but this one is not a neighbor. And why do I think that? We ask neighbors. X, Y, Z. And it only returns these 3. Is it correct? No, that is not correct. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. It runs over everything, all of them. And then adds the X, Y, Z for all of them. But then Y. This stuff is always so hard. Let's just check what tiles are actually rendered. Yeah, I should reserve memory for the tiles. Maybe we should make it a bit smaller, the world. It doesn't matter if it's this big. If we do 10 or 50, let's do 10. If it's going over 5... What's happening here? I noticed some issues on that screen. Stream is okay, right? So if we do 10, then it should be able to level over 5, but we don't get that much crap around it. So this is how it goes through the tiles. I have no idea what the neighbors are. What if we also take the root tile, that ID. So now we have 2 strings. See, this is weird. It goes depth first, I think. Let's add the distance from castle to. So it's 1, 2, and then it's 6. And then when it's done with the 6th, it gets back to a 5, and then it has 6 again, 6 again, and then it slowly works its way back to all other branches. And here it gets to the 1st again. But technically, let's do a little test. I think my code is off. What the heck? So why is so now at least it goes down, but still, why would it do? The only reason I can think of is that the neighbors are not as straightforward as it might seem. Yeah, we might get the doubles in here. Should distance be 1? I don't know. It's probably because it's hexagons. But .8.6.4.20 minus. If it's 4, it becomes 5. So we are 1 too deep already. Okay, that's 1. 1 bug. And though it looks cool, I wonder why this tile doesn't move. It's probably because my whole neighbor thing is wrong. No. I was going to undo this little change here, but I think this with the lerp is correct. Let's just ask AI again. There seems to be an issue in this code where the distance from the first tile is not really the distance. Some tiles seem to be visually next to the root, but are at a larger distance. I have a gut feeling, I can't explain it, but yeah. Here's how you can use BFS. Breadth first search. Yes, I did a depth, a DFS, I think. Okay. It changes it to not being recursive. Interesting. We can always undo. Let's just... It's scary, but it might just work. Oh wait, we can just... So, 3 new achievements. Um... Yeah, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to call the other. I'm just going to keep it around just in case. No, that's not correct. This is correct. Save. Thank you, AI. It's not doing it right. Because I would have expected this water to become higher. But it works. You know what? Let's remove even more. Would this work? Yay. Now I don't get why it has such a big drop near the water. And we're using not a seeded noise. So let's just go into the constructor here somewhere. Do we have a constructor? No, it's a component. Well, let's take start then. And let's say noise.seed. Would this work? Get a random value from my own seeded random number generator. What's this? A string or number? Number. So let's do plus new date. Now it's a number that's different every time. Is it different? Yes. Okay, cool. But I still don't get why we have this drop near the water. If I do know why we have the drop near the water. Because that's how low it was. Right? So if we say, let's add a constant for this one. Extract constant, and let's say smooth distance. And this 5 is also the smooth distance. And let's make this 10. Oh, wait. I know what's happening. If it's water, it's always set to a fixed height. So, to get this to work, we need to make sure all these tiles are also grass tiles. So now there's always, well, a very big, smooth value. Now the funny thing is, we have this lerp. Let's make the distance, the scale a bit bigger to show this off. Now we have a very big tower in the middle, and then it goes down all the way to the water here. But because I used a lerp, we can add a function. This is not a lerp. It is a lerp. So lerp has an easing function. And I think there's a couple of default ones I created. Easing dot. So we can just do linear. I think linear is the default one. Easing up to, yeah. Let's say we want to do in cubic. So now it starts flat and then goes down as the distance grows. Let's make the world bigger. That's an extra reason I use the lerp, because now I have more control over what happens. Or we can flip it and use the out cubic. So now it starts and then it smooths out. Or we can do the in-out cubic. So it starts slow, ramps up, and then based on this value. Now I don't know what looks best. I think this one. There's also a quadric function. I think I need to take screenshots or something. I recently added this one, Hermite, because that's what Unity does, I think. It's cool because it's almost unnoticeable. Now if we set this back to 4, it is unnoticeable. So there's just a flat bump in the middle there. Cool. Let's get another sip of water. So now I want to add the castle back in. Center.add tag. Or should we do this the other way around? Or both? Both. Yeah, let's do both. We add a tag to the tile, right? Let's make it nice and public. Let's call this tag. But we add a new class, new file, and we call this tags.ts. This is going to be a singleton class. I have no idea why I get these. Can I click this? There is an information icon here, but it doesn't do anything. That sucks. I was hoping this would give information about the achievement. It's funny, I do have a couple of achievements already. Write your first class. Okay. Maybe it's the first class since I added this tool. So we have this tag class thing. And we technically could do tags dot get instance and get an instance of the class. But that's not how I want to use it. I want to say public static tag object. Now the question is, are we going to do a tile or really an object? Not object 3D, what it's suggesting, but do we need to tag more things than just... Or are these properties? Wait a second. Can we do this? If we have a tag of T, would this not work that way? Static members cannot refer. Okay, so this is not going to work. Let me quickly check. So the game that I was building a dungeon generator for is House of the Dead, and I think I did something there with properties. Tags. But that's just the note that has a tag. It's just hard coded in the notes here. Okay. We can do this. And tags, is this a map of string with strings? String with strings? Or just an area of strings? Or set? Yeah, now it's different. Tags dot add. No, it's not a set. It has to be key value pairs. But are the strings or... No, in this... So in House of Dead, it were more like properties or anchors, definitions. Well, David, thank you so much for hanging out. And we'll talk again soon. Probably. Because I will stream soon again. Thank you so much for hanging out. Have a nice day. Thanks. Yeah, it looks better on camera than it does in real life. But it's AI. You just modify things. I'm going to do it different. We're going to do a tag thing here. So we have a private. I don't think we need to make this public. I think we can even make this private. Which might sound weird, a private static, but I need a new mic. Darn. So where was I? I need to have a private map. Well, let's call it tag list. And this is going to be, I'm just going to the hexagon tiles. So now we create maps where the tag I don't think this is what I need. Because technically we should have we could have multiple tiles with one tag. Hmm. Shall we just vibe code it? Well, sort of. Can you implement and correct? No, the other way around. Correct and implement this class for me. I want to be able to add tags and hexagon tiles to those tags. One tag can be used for multiple hexagon tiles and a hexagon tile can have multiple tags. Let's make a few modifications because let's clean these for now because that's not what I need. The key is the tag. So this is a hexagon. We can just use the IDs. That might be better. So we have a string array. Hexagon tile ID. No, not implement yet. Hashtag. Something like this. And go. They say you get lazy from using AI, but and AI can make mistakes. But often it's just okay. Okay, let's first plump it in. And then we go and review it. So what did it do? I love that it gives an explanation. It's a singleton pattern. Yes, that's what I already implemented. Data structure is it changed the array to a set. Fine. The set, oh, that's better than an ID because a set always has a value only once, and an array can have, well, any number of random things in it. Adds a tag to the tile. If a tag doesn't hit, it creates a new entry. Exactly. Retrieves all the tags associated with a specific tile. Nice. Cool. I'm going to add another one. Static get tiles with tag. Let's see what it did. Hexagon tile, get tile by ID. No, this is not good. This is not good. Because I think it's fine to just get the IDs. And then it gets everything with that tag. Now the tricky thing is, and this, there could be, I could make mistakes, AI could make mistakes, that the tag is uppercase or lowercase or whatever. Ooh, updates. Yay. Not sure what changed, but it's probably better now. Now it's better and faster, and we're done with this game in minutes instead of months. So if it's the last thing that had a tile, it removes it. Okay, but now can we make this case insensitive, or would tile castle be tile castle? Yeah, eventually we have to add something similar, but then with properties. So to the tile, we say add tag with the string. And then we say tags, set tag. And we can also do a public has tag. And this is fine for now. I want to be able to set a tag and remove a tag and check if it has a tag. And later on, when generating levels, I can also say, well, give me all tiles that have a tag forest. Because we need to add some trees there or something. Or we can use noise and give things a tag forest based on something. But then we probably have to give it some property met with the amount of trees it has or something. Well, right now it has a castle tag. So we render the tiles. And okay, we don't need this one anymore. We say add castle. We do a tags dot get Um, damn it. Ah. So I name it tags, but there is another. I've already had a class named tags, which I use to tag components in Wonderland Engine. It doesn't have a tagging system built in, so I created it. Import. That's the tags we need. This can be confusing, but get tiles with tags, castle. No, there should be only one. It's a bit weird, but this will be refactored at some point. We create it here, we add a tag, then we do a lot of stuff, and then we get the castle again from the tag list. But it's the castle tile. Do these things need to be connected to the tile? So let's go. I wonder, can I do this? Copy. Let's go to the tiles. Not sure. Oh, there we go. Add. Empty. It's not really a tile. Let's just use another naming scheme to make it easy to refactor this later. Building, castle. Right? Now we have this. We do base as child, object. Missing. Yeah, it's not in here. Okay. That's not going to work, but we have a building castle here. Boom, there we go. And I think this all uses the same material, so we just pick this one. Yay! Now I think we can leave the pivot there, because this has the pivot on the top, this has a pivot on the bottom. Cool. So that would be fine. And now we go into the tile prefabs.instance.spawn, and we name this building castle, and we could just parent it to the castle tile. Oh, but it's not a tile. This is only the ID. ID. We do get tile. Why is it going to do something like that? Didn't I create a get by ID? Yet? Add tile, get tile. No. Get tile by ID. Technically, we could do it like this, so this is leading. Do we need to check if it has it, or are we just going to allow undefined? Well, let's leave it. I'm also want to keep it a bit performant. Oh darn! I'm already streaming more than 2 hours. Wow. So we're going to finish this, and I think that would be it for today. No, not castle 2D. Is that object public? It is. So now we spawn it, and then it will be parented to, and we get it returned. So this is const castle object, and I'm not sure if we need to change the position. Let's see what happens. I don't see a castle. It didn't refresh automatically. That's because we switched the file. There it is. It places it on top already. Just because it has the right thing. Nice, 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 nice. So now, no matter how high we place that. So technically we cannot make it 2, but we can. It's always on top of the hill. So this would probably be more realistic. So now you always have an area around it. And we could raise the water level a bit. Even. So now we have more water. Or we can lower it. Now we have less water. But I think the water is nice. It makes it a bit yeah. That fall of distance is still 10. Oh wait, we should add it here. Castle flatten distance. Let's make it 5 again. And instead of that const, definition. Let's rename this to global config. Yeah. So now it's 5 again. So now it's not too much. Now there can be water close to the castle, but there won't be water inside on the castle. Wait. What would happen if we make this lower than the water, the castle height? So let's do 5. I'm just curious. And let's set it to slightly lower. Now the castle should be in the water, but it isn't. Why? Why is the castle not in the water? Because we moved the elevation up. We everything is above the water. Always. This is water level. Haha, haha. Oh wait, it smooths it out the other way now. Oh, that is cool. Because we make it always grass, we can even place it in the ground now, below. Now it's a Dutch castle, it's below sea level. Okay, let's undo this stuff. I like this. And it's random. Every time we have a different world. Nice. So, I think I'm going to leave it at this for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I'm going to push these changes to the GitHub repo right as soon as I end the stream. The link to the repo and the branch this will be on is already in the notes below. So if you want to have a look at how this code is structured, how this is done, it's there. And anything that's, if you're watching this stream in the future, things might have changed, but that branch will still be there. So you can always have a look at how it ended at the end of the stream. I have no idea when I'm going to stream again. I'm not really having a schedule yet again. I'm only glad I'm streaming again. Yes, and with that, I'd like to thank you all for watching. And see you on the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.